Thank you to Straight Arrow News for sponsoring this video.
Target is taking a financial hit after dropping its diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. The retail giant has reportedly lost more than $12.4 billion in revenue. This comes as calls for...
So, Target, they may have found themselves in a no-win situation trying to survive in President Trump's America. And not only has the brand inflicted itself with a controversial reputation based on some of what it promotes, tariffs and other Trump-era programs that protect American workers may be the final nail in the coffin of a company that just can't seem to stop offending its own customers.
How many of you all shop at Target? During the season of Lent, don't go to Target for nothing.
Scott is bothered Target did away with its DEI initiatives and promises it made.
It doesn't take a PR expert to know that if you hire a Satanist to design a children's clothing line, people will get upset. That's exactly what Target did, and somehow they were surprised at the backlash.
Does this type of public scrutiny pressure Target and other companies like it to make change?
I think it does. You know, we've actually seen where Target has backed off in response to people's reaction to certain of their activities.
Customers really don't like that confused positioning, and it's kind of trying to take a middle-of-the-road position. The problem with being in the middle of the road is you end up getting knocked down from both sides.
But the biggest problem that Target has right now is that they've built up this image for themselves as being very socially responsible and being responsive to DEI concerns. And for them to kind of turn their back on it, what it's done is it's alienated a big part of the group of people who typically would be shopping there.
So the CEO of Target has admitted that they've made some major mistakes. But what nobody talking about this latest boycott will admit is that the issues plaguing Target today, they actually started a couple of years ago, when the brand decided to promote a progressive agenda inside its stores. This alone led to the movements we see today boycotting the company, who managed to alienate their customers in a way that may be permanent. But what's fascinating is the latest backlash at Target has to do with what activists are calling a right-wing pivot and possible betrayal. And due to President Trump's overwhelming popularity and war against DEI initiatives, Target sees this as an opportunity to pivot back, which wasn't the change a lot of its customers were expecting. And the problem for Target is as they roll back some of their progressive initiatives and remove merchandise from their stores, the diversity policies that they previously claimed to support seem to be getting thrown to the wayside, all in the name of making money. Which brings us to the real reason Target's in such a tough position. A few years ago, they Bud Lighted their entire brand, and now it looks like they're doing it again, making everybody who could go into one of these stores a little bit upset with them. And alienating customers is a pretty stupid thing to do when it's your job to sell toothpaste and t-shirts. Plus, when you add to all this President Trump's tariffs on goods from communist countries like China, that puts companies like this up a creek without a paddle. So here we are inside a Target, and if you run this place, it's your job to stay quiet and sell as many peanut butter M&M minis as you possibly can. But Target hasn't been able to do that, and by trying to recover from what many say are a series of Bud Light moments, some say the company's just making things worse.
The protest comes after the retail giant announced last week it would join Walmart and a number of other stores in scaling back DEI initiatives, feeling the pressure from conservative groups and President Trump's recent signing of executive orders to end DEI programs in the federal government.
We thought that they would hold the line. We thought that they would continue to stand.
So there is a lot to unpack here, and none of it is good for Target. In fact, it all goes back to 2020 when Target decided to put itself in the driver's seat of the progressive movement in America. And according to this article, Target back in 2020 committed to progressive policies, which they thought were going to be great for business and give them a sense of value and community. But just days after President Trump assumed the Oval Office and signed off on a flurry of anti-DEI executive orders, Target announced they were concluding their 3-year diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. sales, making it look like Target was treating the movement it had just embraced as some sort of crutch to make money. But here's the thing, Target's already got a problem with traditional consumers who felt alienated by moves the company made just a few years ago, and now it looks like they're flip-flopping, and that flip-flopping is now offensive to the current base of Target customer.
And they made the decision to bow down to the Trump administration. Well, we are here today saying we will not bow down.
In a memo to employees last week, Target's Chief Community Impact and Equity Officer described the DEI decisions as a next chapter in the company's strategy.
Strategy, that's the key word here, and it's important to understand that this mega corporation, they don't care one bit about left or right beliefs. All they care about is making money, and now with Target rolling back some of their DEI initiatives, just as President Trump has rolled them back at a federal level, to many progressives, it looks like Target is just going where the wind goes and abandoning them. And it looks like their value system changes depending on what makes money and what doesn't. Does that mean the company plans to start selling Donald Trump's Make America Great Again hats? Probably not. But as the political pendulum swings right, it looks like Target's doing the same.
Will this type of financial loss impact Target's decisions moving forward, do you think, on this policy?
I think it will. You know, you have to remember that a lot of these companies operate on very thin financial margins. So the fact that they're seeing this decline could actually impact their profits and ultimately impact them on.
You know, when you look at the big picture, Target's strategy of having a business system that masquerades as a value system turned out to be a pretty bad idea. And any brand that alienates traditional customers is going to pay a price for that. Just ask this company here. And the reason for that is traditional customers don't care about your company's values one bit. And as long as you stick to your core values and offer competitive products, people are going to buy from you. But if you go on some crusade to offend your core base, don't be surprised when they vanish and stop showing up in movie theaters. And here's the thing, Costco, Amazon, they've got DEI-related initiatives as well. But in many people's minds, they haven't been preached at when they've gone online to buy something or gone into a Costco. And since many of these companies didn't come out swinging for left field like Target did, now when Target rolls these things back and these other companies don't, there's a reason to be upset at Target when there isn't for any of these other places. And now the company finds itself in a no-win situation.
But the biggest problem that Target has right now is that they've built up this image for themselves as being very socially responsible and being responsive to DEI concerns. And for them to kind of turn their back on it, what it's done is it's alienated a big part of the group of people.
So what we're witnessing here is Target grifting, claiming to support a set of social values and initiatives and then dumping them the second holding on to those values and promoting them is no longer convenient. And if we're learning anything, the biggest way to lose in 2025 is to be inconsistent on anything at any point. Heck, even brands that are consistently progressive like Ben & Jerry's still sell plenty of overpriced ice cream because the flavors don't change. Yes, they come out with their fair share of new flavors, but they do not do that while abandoning the flavors many customers have been eating for years. But even if Target were to keep its business-related activism to a minimum and would have managed to not alienate either side of the political spectrum, they'd still be facing challenges this year that they don't really have a way to defeat. The topics we're covering today reveal that we live in a crazy world, and it doesn't help that news constantly comes at us 24/7 from both reputable and not so reputable sources. And as someone who spends hours researching current events, I will tell you that many news outlets are only giving you their preferred version of the story. Which is why you need to know about Straight Arrow News, today's video sponsor who helps you find fact-based, nonpartisan reporting on every topic that matters, while helping you walk through the minefield of biased reporting that is today's media landscape. Straight Arrow News lets you discover all sorts of perspectives, see the facts, and come to your own conclusions. First up, they've got the media landscape, which tells you what networks are covering a given story and which side of the political spectrum they're on. Plus, there's even a media miss tool, which highlights articles that mainstream media may have been too busy spinning their audiences to cover. But the best part is Straight Arrow News is completely free. Check out the link in the description of this video or right here on the screen, and know that when you visit, you not only support me, but you take advantage of a way better way to get the news quickly for free. Welcome back to Trustworthy Journalism. So tariffs, those are a major challenge for every retailer in 2025 right now. And here we are in the one part of the store where there's a lot of produce and a lot of items which may not be as affected by tariffs as some of the disposable discretionary items that Target usually sells. And the grocery section of Target reveals exactly how they're losing ground to competitors during these uncertain times.
While shoppers aren't turning away from Target completely, Walmart and Costco's customers are spending more than they did 3 years ago. It helps that Walmart is the nation's largest grocer by revenue.
When you're a destination for groceries, you have more opportunity to get the customer to buy something else while they're in.
So here's the deal. Customers are not exactly abandoning Target. There's customers in this store right now, but the problem is Costco and Walmart, they're seeing growth right now. They're doing better, and Target, if anything, is flatlining. And that's because, unlike Target, Walmart is the country's largest grocer by revenue. People also love the groceries and deals at Costco, especially their Kirkland brand. And the thing about groceries is that they're essential. We can't live without them, literally. And if you can get customers coming into your store every week to stock up, you can get them to buy other things as well. But if your groceries are non-competitive or just overpriced, like the world's greatest coffee, which for some reason costs $1 more here than it does at my local grocery store, customers are going to have to go somewhere else to get these items, and they're going to form habits. Habits which do not involve entering a Target, which means they'll never see the products on the shelves. Therefore, how can they buy them? And this isn't to say that Target doesn't sell a fair amount of groceries. They definitely do. They've got several aisles here of non-immediately perishable items. But the fresh foods section of the store almost seems like a complete afterthought. And that's bad news. There's only so much hot chili lime popcorn a person can take. And when most of what you sell is stuff nobody needs to buy today and comes from China, which is now being hit with a massive tariff, the profitability of this brand as a whole is now in grave jeopardy. I mean, sure, they can raise prices on their acrylic makeup organizers, but that's just gonna drive away customers to places where the prices don't go up. Like, look at this thing. This thing is $20. I don't know if these are gonna be flying off the shelves today when you could probably find the same thing for less on Amazon. And then the other option here is Target could always eat the tariffs, but then they would be making less money, something they've already shown the world they're not interested in doing, even if it means they've got to abandon whatever value system they claim to have today. And it's not like you can't buy stuff exactly like this. I can't get this out of here from Walmart or Costco. You can. And you know, if Walmart and Costco, if they've got the customer and you don't have the customer, your items, it doesn't really matter what price they're at, does it?
Target has struggled to have the right things at the right times. For example, with inflation, it's seen a pivot to necessities like paper towels and food, and it had too many discretionary items like home goods that people weren't buying at the same levels. And then again, it faced this inventory challenge when the port strike was threatened. The company faced a lot of...
Yeah, that's the problem for Target. It's one thing to anger the general populace with your corporate activism, but it's quite another to just be non-competitive and just not have good offerings. People, they're going to walk away and they're not going to come back. It's going to take a long time to get those customers back. And if you go to a store and see empty shelves, you're not going to go back because you just wasted your time. If you waste somebody's time on the wrong day, it could take 10 years to get that person back. But speaking of wasting time, it's not just empty shelves like this one that have customers thinking twice about these stores. And while the great thing about Target is you don't need a membership to shop here, the bad thing is that it's inconvenient. You've got aisle after aisle of items locked up in this store, and if you want anything, you gotta wait for somebody to come get it for you, which is no fun when you just have to have your $89 toaster right this second. And as it turns out, Costco, with its membership ID system, that's actually helped them avoid a lot of the shoplifting problems places like Target have. Because everyone in the store not only paid money to go in there, but they're on camera and they had to show ID. You do those three things, boy, people are going to be very, very scared of taking anything that doesn't belong to them. But now the question is, what steps could Target take to fix the mess it looks like they've created for themselves? They're gonna have to get back to the basics. That's what they're going to have to do. They're going to have to ditch the corporate activism, which everybody in the country now knows was never real to begin with. All they do is care about money, and they got to get back to saving people money and stop wasting people's time. If they can do those things, people are going to come back. And if Target were saving people money and they were the best deal in town with the best groceries and the best things that people need to survive at the lowest prices, they could have shelves full of whatever they want in other parts of the store, and customers generally wouldn't care. They would still shop there because they'd be saving money. And as long as the brand doesn't go out of its way to offend people and then offend other people trying to correct the offense they just created, most people aren't going to have a problem with the store. That's why they don't have a problem with Walmart or with Costco or with Amazon that may have similar initiatives or even sell similar types of products. But what do you think? Did Target see the results of the 2020 election and think that there was a permanent demographic shift in America? Did they overreact to what they thought was a trend, and are they now paying for that as they try to undo their corporate activism while still claiming to have all of the same values? Let me know. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.